Okay, everybody, I hope that I am live right now. Caitlin should have started the broadcast. I'm just going to log in on my iPad just to make sure that this is coming over on YouTube correctly. Okay, great. I can see my screen on my iPad. Just wanted to check. All right, thanks everybody for coming to my Global Accessibility Awareness Day presentation on Apple Watch accessibility. I am Paul J. Adam, an accessibility evangelist at Deque Systems. You can find me on Twitter, and I like to focus on mobile accessibility and JavaScript accessibility, modern accessibility, and the new fun and exciting things. Okay. Um, I'm just looking at the YouTube thing. I'm just seeing it has a delay. Watching it on my iPad. Just wanted to make sure, because the slide I see on my iPad is not the one I'm actually on at this moment, so I'm watching myself in the past. It's kind of strange. Okay, I'm just going to keep going through. All right, so today's agenda is to cover all the different accessibility features available on the Apple Watch. And there really are a lot available right when you buy it. So you have VoiceOver and Zoom, and you can make the text size bigger. I think there's mono audio. There's extra large watch face. You can get rid of all the color, make a grayscale. You can also reduce some of the motion and animation, reduce the transparency, and there's an on-off labels feature. So it's nice that Apple has released another new mobile computing device. It fits on your wrist, and it has design for people with disabilities included. And the VoiceOver screen reader for blind and low vision users. And you can also use Zoom and VoiceOver at the same time. And as you move your VoiceOver focus through, Zoom will follow VoiceOver's focus. And I've tested accessibility apps, or I've tested just normal apps you download for the Apple Watch, and they already have accessibility problems. Like Instagram has buttons, like on Instagram, the like button, it just says button, button, button. So that's a problem. There's problems on Yelp where how many stars a restaurant has doesn't actually read. So I'll show some of these problems when I get to the live demo part. I'm going to do a live demo of the watch. I have to use my iPhone to show it, but I'll use an app called Reflector 2 and then display that through my iPhone as the video camera. Now, VoiceOver did come out including 14 different languages, and so you could switch to British English if you wanted, or Australian English, and then these other foreign languages that are available. So to get to the accessibility settings on an Apple Watch, you go to the Settings app, and you can do this both on the phone, on your iPhone itself in the Apple Watch app, or directly on the Apple Watch itself. And this is directly on the Apple Watch. So you go to Settings, and then General, and then you would see Accessibility right above the Siri settings. Under accessibility settings, you'll see they're listed under Vision with VoiceOver, Zoom, and Reduce Motion. And then there's one more setting on the watch that you can activate called On and Off Labels, which just gives you like a binary 1 or 0 to represent on or off states. So under VoiceOver, you see VoiceOver says that it speaks items on the screen. You swipe your finger left or right to select an item, and then you double tap to activate that item you selected. You don't have to have your finger right on the button that you're activating. You just have to have the VoiceOver cursor on it. So the screenshot on the right shows once VoiceOver is enabled, it has the black outline around it to represent which element has focus. And then the screen curtain, that is so, like, let's say you're blind and you don't want people to see what you're doing on your Apple Watch. while you're using VoiceOver or you're in public, you can turn the screen curtain on and no one could see it. You'll still be able to operate VoiceOver like normal. It may even save battery life, I'm not exactly sure. The zoom settings, you can't really take a screenshot of zoom because even when it's in the zoomed in state, the screenshot always shows the full zoomed out state. So one thing that you can see in the screenshot is the little digital crown. When you have zoom enabled, you can use the digital crown to pan through the whole watch. So if you zoom into a very deep level where you can only see like the word zoom itself, then you would scroll your the crown that you rotate, and it would go through panning, kind of like if you were using your fingers to move through. That way your fingers don't get in the way of the screen as you're looking. So with zoom, you have to turn it on and then you double tap on the screen with 2 fingers. And then you rotate the digital crown to adjust the viewpoint. Now, reduced motion is an accessibility feature that I have turned on for myself. I like it. It makes all the buttons bigger on your home screen, all the different app buttons. Apple has a nice little animation effect where you move all the buttons around on the screen and they get smaller and bigger, kind of like a circular effect. But that's not really helpful for just making things easy to find and get to. Actually kind of makes it harder because the buttons go from smaller to bigger. So when you enable reduce motion, the buttons all just stay the same all the time and you just pan back and forth. I find it easier to use. Okay, so this is the brightness and text size settings where you can enable bold text. And when you do enable bold text, you have to restart the Apple Watch and then it comes back with bold text. It's the same thing as on your iPhone if you enable bold text. And you see the screenshot on the left shows your normal text, and on the right is the bold text. It's thicker and easier to read. This is also where you can modify the brightness settings. Now if you click text size, that's where you go into the dynamic type setup. And here you can see a screenshot on the left shows the text is small. It says apps that support dynamic type will adjust to your preferred reading size below. So the idea is that apps like say Yelp or the Weather Channel, when you enable dynamic type to make it bigger, then the app should also update its text so it's easier to read. And then on the right you see the text is much bigger. This is the maximum size that you can do. Also, you can't get to all the accessibility settings directly on the watch. You have to go on the phone to get to some of them, and then some settings you can only get on the watch. But that's for the the speak on wrist raise one, or the actual display the screen on wrist raise. So if you want to turn on grayscale, you do have to go into your iPhone, into that Apple Watch app, and enable grayscale. And other things that you need to do if you want to adjust the speaking rate easily with VoiceOver, you can go into the VoiceOver settings, and this is also where you can increase the VoiceOver volume just using a normal slider. You can turn on the screen curtain here as well. For some reason you had it enabled and you needed to get it back on or off. And then reduce transparency, that's not available on the watch, so you have to enable that on the phone, and that one is very nice as well. The Apple Watch has all kinds of transparency effects and blurring effects. When you swipe down and up, they try to show the background behind you, but it makes reading the text in the foreground very difficult. So this is a very nice feature. Reduce motion and transparency, I keep on mine. The on and off labels, I don't really find much of a need for it, but it is there. And then there's the mono audio settings. So you can connect a Bluetooth headset, so you can run VoiceOver through your Bluetooth headset, and let's say you're listening to stereo music and your hearing is better in one ear or the other, you can switch to make it all come out of that one particular side of the speakers. So a few other accessibility settings on the Apple Watch app on your phone is the zoom settings, where you can change the maximum zoom level. And then another very handy feature, just like on the Apple phone, on the iPhone, you can triple click your home button to turn VoiceOver on. You can do the same thing on the watch. So you can just have this setting here, triple click the digital crown for VoiceOver. So when I triple click it 3 times, it would come on. And I have it on a Bluetooth speaker right now.
2:13 p.m. 2 to 3 p.m. Apple Watch accessibility, presented by Paul Adam, 3 Eastern, 2 Central.
And then you could triple click the digital crown again to turn VoiceOver back off. So this is very useful, for accessibility testing, or if you don't always want VoiceOver on, only at certain times. Now another thing that I need to talk about is the VoiceOver crown navigation mode. This is a little bit harder to find out about, but when you turn VoiceOver on, every time you turn VoiceOver on, you have to triple tap the screen with 2 fingers, and that allows you to rotate the little digital crown to move VoiceOver's focus through the screen. And it's actually very handy if you don't want to have to touch the screen with your fingers. And then you can also, when you first purchase the Apple Watch, if you're blind, you don't have to ask somebody to help you turn on the VoiceOver settings. You can just triple click the digital crown and VoiceOver will come on automatically, only during the initial setup phase. Once you set it up, if you didn't turn VoiceOver on at that point, then you'd have to turn it on manually and enable this triple click home feature, or triple click digital crown feature. Same thing with zoom. In the setup screen, when you double tap with 2 fingers, zoom will just come on automatically. And this is another screenshot representing the dynamic type feature. Some features that would be good for users who have hearing accessibility challenges is the taptic engine. So you get different vibration patterns. You basically won't miss any more phone calls. It's very easy to miss a phone call if your phone is like in a way where you don't feel it vibrating. But with the watch strapped to your wrist, you always feel the phone calls or text messages, as long as the watch doesn't lose the connection. So the watch is still very buggy because it's brand new. There's accessibility bugs, there's connection bugs, Bluetooth keeps disconnecting. That sort of problems from a first generation device. So don't forget to enable the accessibility shortcut with the digital crown. And there's also been an Apple Watch operating system update already, 1.0.1, and they did improve some of the accessibility bugs. Like Apple Viz mentioned that you can now delete emails with VoiceOver in the email app. Like that was a problem before, you couldn't actually delete the email. And then there was some good press for Global Accessibility Awareness Day based on the Apple Watch. How the Apple Watch is opening up new ways to communicate. And this is based on a accessibility experience with a blind user, David Woodbridge from Australia, Vision Australia, and also a deaf user who talks about the haptic technology and how that's very beneficial to him. So that's a nice story to see for Global Accessibility Awareness Day. And so let me go ahead and do some demos here. So I have the Reflector app up. I just need to get my phone onto the screen. So I use AirPlay to do this. And it should pop up. Okay, so there's my iPhone. Here's the Apple Watch app where you have to go and do your settings and everything. So under General and then Accessibility, then you would see your settings like to enable grayscale on the watch and all that, and control other features. So let me turn on my video camera, switch to video, zoom in a bit, and then basically I'm just sticking my hand in front of the iPhone to display this. I don't know of a better way to get the Apple Watch on the screen currently, so you have to look at the hair on my hand. Sorry. All right. So basically, you can press the digital crown to enable it, or just touch the screen and then log in to an app. Like when you tap something on the clock, it'll open up the weather because I tapped what the temperature was outside. But to turn on the settings, you would go to your settings app, and everything, the digital crown is basically your home button, like on your iPhone. And then you go to General, and then you go to Accessibility, and then you can go to VoiceOver, and then you can enable it. And it takes a little while to come on.
Settings. VoiceOver. Back button.
Okay, and hopefully y'all can hear that coming through the Bluetooth speakers fine. If you don't have Bluetooth speakers, it's not going to be very loud. But in a quiet room, it would be fine. I could probably demonstrate this without the speakers, and y'all would be able to hear me. But if you were somewhere else at a restaurant, you probably would have to hold the watch to your ears and try to listen to it. So it's not super loud speakers, but it's a tiny little device. So hopefully they'll improve that in the next generation.
VoiceOver. Back button.
Okay, so you can swipe through.
VoiceOver. Switch button. On.
And
double tap to toggle setting.
VoiceOver, it tells you the role of the element. This is a switch button, and it tells you the state of the element it is on. It also told you a hint. Double tap to toggle control. So by double tapping, you would activate it.
VoiceOver. Back button.
And then you do the digital crown. You triple tap with 2 fingers.
Crown navigation on.
And now I don't have to swipe through.
VoiceOver. Switch button. On. Screen. VoiceOver speaks items on the screen. Will it swipe left or right to select an item? Will it double tap to activate the selected item? Footer.
It's kind of touchy.
Switch button. Off.
Anyway, and then
tap to toggle setting.
You can go. There's also the Z gesture to go back. It's kind of hard to perform. Two-finger
button.
Two-finger gestures are pretty difficult on a tiny little watch. I would recommend that you get the bigger one. Uh-oh, is this frozen? Okay. I think my reflector froze. Sorry, guys. Let me wait. Okay, it's back. All right. Sorry, technical difficulties here.
Back.
And another thing, to shut VoiceOver up, you do a 2-finger single tap. But yeah, I was saying you probably want to get the bigger one for better battery life and a bigger screen, especially if you have to do these finger combinations, or if you have low vision, it's easier to read the text on the bigger screen.
Accessibility. Back button.
Okay.
General. Accessibility. Accessibility.
Zoom, and then here's the zoom settings.
Zoom. Back. Zoom. Switch button. On.
So I can turn zoom on.
On.
You can have them both on at the same time. And now if I double tap with 2 fingers, I'm zoomed in. Now, as I scroll through with the digital crown, it pans around the screen. So you see the very top corner, and you go through, and there's the time, and then you can read the text. And also, if I swipe through with VoiceOver, it would do the same thing. Follow the focus.
Home. Activity. Messages. Remote. Fandango.
So, I mean, these accessibility features do make this watch a lot more fun to play with. It doesn't talk. Like Siri does not talk. unless you turn on VoiceOver. But maybe you want a talking watch. It does make it a lot cooler. Um, so, and then
Mango.
so that's just your Zoom. You can move around like that. You can swipe through. I have VoiceOver on, and also I'll turn VoiceOver off now
VoiceOver off.
by triple clicking. Two finger double tap to zoom back out. And then let's see, what else do we have? Go back to the settings and see if there's any other accessibility features that I should talk about. Okay, no, let's see. I'm just going to let's show what Siri can do. One easy way to find out is just ask Siri. Like if you hold down the digital crown, you can speak a command. What can you do? And I'll turn on VoiceOver, so this is has a little more audio.
Here's what I can. Clock. Calendar. Phone. Weather. Phone.
One thing, you can't turn the digital crown on when Zoom is on too. So let me turn off Zoom.
Voice.
This is something that you may have to figure out. So under accessibility, I'm going to turn Zoom off, and then when I turn VoiceOver back on, I can do the digital crown navigation.
VoiceOver on.
What can I say? All right.
I'm
Nope.
sorry. Paul.
Didn't get me.
I'm afraid
Okay.
I can do that.
What can I say? So Siri is acting up on me now that I'm doing a live demo. It was working before. Anyway, one thing to note is that Siri does seem to be more accurate in what it's getting. Maybe it's having Bluetooth connection problems now. Okay, there it goes. Ah, it just came up.
Zoom.
What can I say?
Can I say Wikipedia?
Okay, now it's doing a Wikipedia search. All right, that's interesting.
Settings. Zoom.
What can I say?
I can help with.
Okay, so can help with alarms.
Reminders. Clock. Timer. Messages. Calendar. Phone. Weather. Map. Music. Movie. Q&A. Sports. Q&A.
Can ask it questions. Like, it does Wikipedia searches.
Stop. At launch. Web image search.
Also does image search. Interesting though, when you search for images, the results don't really have any accessible names. Like, show me a picture of an orangutan.
An orangutan. TH. Image. TH. Image.
So they just say
image.
TH image.
TH. Image.
I mean, I don't know what they should say. Orangutan 1, orangutan 2, baby orangutan, old orangutan. I don't know if those images it's searching for actually has any data to pull alt text. But also, there was a Bing logo earlier when I searched, and that even the Bing logo didn't have any alt text. So, problems
Settings.
with app
Zoom.
accessibility.
Back. Zoom. Back. Back button.
If you look at some popular apps, like say Weather Channel.
Home. Settings. Settings. Zoom. Crown navigation on.
I definitely like the crown navigation.
Instagram. Weather.
So if you're making an Apple Watch app, you really have to test it with VoiceOver. And think about reading order of elements. That's a problem that I see. This is another problem, just general problem with the watch, is things take forever to load. Like if I open the weather app on my phone, then the weather app may load. It's kind of strange. Let's see. This is the Weather Channel app itself. So unless I've lost my connection to my watch from the phone. Sometime turning Bluetooth on or off and then turning Bluetooth back on will get the watch back in sync. If not, I'll just move on to the Yelp.
Weather.
Open my camera back up. Back to video. Okay, weather does not want to load. So, you know, this is pretty buggy.
Weather.
It's normal.
Yelp.
Let's see what Yelp, if it'll
Weather.
work for me. Oops.
Keep Yelp. Yelp.
Other thing, I mean, there's no alt text to say loading, you know, to tell you what exactly is going on here. Right now we see a progress indicator that's just spinning. That would be helpful to say like loading or something like that.
Loading. Image.
Oh, there it is. Okay. So there's a loading image. You have to just put your finger on it.
Loading. Image. Yelp.
Okay.
Home.
Anyway, I'll show you activity since it's got a good accessibility problem, and it should load. There we go.
Activity. Move.
So, you know, most of this is accessible except for the graph.
128 calories.
So you see this is 128 calories I burned today, but, you know, I see a graph that says I burned most of them like at 11 o'clock or so. And then you can definitely tell I didn't burn any at 3 in the morning. But can I get to that data with VoiceOver?
Move. Page 2 of 4. 128 calories. Page 2 of 4.
So answer is no. And when you hear that ding, oops, I just did a force touch. That ding means that you can't set focus to an element with VoiceOver. So that is a problem, and I mean, all users want to know that same data as far as what time did they burn the most calories and all that.
VoiceOver off.
Okay, I'm going to switch back to the slideshow and see if there's anything else I had to talk about. Okay, so with the weather channel, since I couldn't get it to load on the watch, I'll just show you the screenshots. The problem was that, for one, when you see the hourly weather, where it goes from 70 degrees to 73 to 70, I can't actually focus on that information with VoiceOver at all. The only stuff I can read is 20%, and this is the order it reads. It says 20%, 20%, 20%, 2 p.m., 5 p.m., 8 p.m. And what they mean to say is that, you know, 20% chance of rain at 2 p.m., 20% chance of rain at 5 p.m., 20% chance at 8 p.m. But because the reading order is just going kind of like a data table, it's not reading in a logical manner. Similar problem where you see the weekend forecast in the Weather Channel app here. You know, the first thing I notice is that those actual clouds, there's 3 images of a cloud with a lightning strike and rain. You can't focus on that. So, you know, you would think VoiceOver would read like thunderstorms. And then the reading order is also messed up. It goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 82, 83, 80, 70, 71, 70, 69. And whereas it should be saying like thunderstorms Friday, 82 degrees high, 70 degrees low, chance of rain 80%, whatever that those icons represent. And then with Yelp, so the problem here is that when you swipe through, you read all the text on the screen here except for the actual star review. So this is the Waller Creek Pub House, but the next element I swipe to just goes to 11 reviews. It doesn't say that it's a 5-star restaurant. You know, that's a very important part of Yelp. And then again, the issue with the activity tracker. So that is, you know, pretty much the end of my talk on Apple Watch. I've gone about 30 minutes, and I don't know if we're doing any questions or what. Feel free to tweet questions at me at Paul J. Adam. But I also wanted to remind you about the Global Accessibility Awareness Day, hashtag GAAD, Accessibility Bug Bash, and that is on my blog. You can find out how you can help us create accessibility bug reports for companies like Apple and Google and Adobe and Freedom Scientific with JAWS, NVDA. These accessibility bugs, causing problems in screen readers, in the bugs with the Apple Watch. If we file those reports with the companies, hopefully they'll eventually fix them. A lot of developers live by the bug tracker, and they don't do any work unless there's a bug in the bug tracker. So also you can help duplicate bugs. If there's a bug that I've already filed, you can duplicate it. But this is a open Excel sheet that anyone can edit. Just go and add things to it. And I've already gotten a few bugs, but I still have tons to write. Okay. And that is it. Thanks a lot for coming to this YouTube webinar. This is the first time I've done a YouTube live webinar, so hopefully it turned out okay. But I appreciate everyone attending. Thank you.